Hey plant fam! Welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, my name is Jacqueline. This isn't my jungle, it's my kitchen. There's like some plants in here. If you are not new here, thank you for coming back. The lighting is not great today. Let me move you a little closer. Come closer, don't be so shy. And it's getting a little chilly in here, so I have my sweatshirt because I have the heat off or else it's loud. And it's starting to get cold, but I wanted to do a bit of a repot with you guys. I have a couple of Hoyas here, so I've been in the process of taking all my Hoyas out of my cabinet and cleaning them up and repotting them, because a lot of them were infested with mealy bugs and it was getting a little bit out of hand. So I needed to just like thoroughly clean everything, repot it, clean the roots, the whole nine. So it's been a process. It's been taking me a while, but I do have a couple here today that I figured we would repot together while we have a chat. So it's been a while since we did our first episode of Repot and Let's Chat, but I promise you I did not forget about it, because here we are, episode 2. I am sorry it took me so long to film this one. I take these topics very seriously, and I want to make sure that I'm in a good headspace, and I want to make sure that I articulate it properly, because I'm not a psychologist. I am not here to, diagnose anything. I'm just trying to help you learn something today, hopefully, while we repot this Hoya. I think this is a Hoya Larry. It is a Cocoa Ranch hybrid. This one has been in here for way too long, and I honestly don't know what potting mix I have this in. It has drainage, so it's fine being directly potted in here, but I don't know if I'm going to keep it in here. I have to see, because I don't have a saucer for it, and it can be kind of annoying. So I am a big fan of potting them into these. I just don't have the small ones that I prefer right now. I only have these bigger ones. So that's why we're not going to do too many of these today, because I don't have a lot, and I am running low on like smaller nursery containers as well. But I prefer these little terracotta pots that don't have drainage, because I can just have this in there for now, but I can put a plant with drainage in there, and then I can water it in this pot and not have to worry about it coming out of the bottom when, the water comes out of the bottom the way that it's supposed to when you water a plant. So that's my story. I am going to focus on this Larry because it's hard for me to repot multiple things while I'm chatting with you. Anyway, this tendril's a little in the frame. It's my Crassipedialata. A lot of these are still in like their propagation containers. So there's that. This one's in a mossy perlite mix. This one is from my friend Tessa, so it is perfectly healthy. It's newer. It doesn't have mealy bugs, but it does need to be repotted. So we'll repot that second if we get through this one too quickly. I do have my repotting mat here, and I have my usual Espoma potting mix mixed with the Better Grow orchid mix. So, and then I mix in a little bit of extra perlite. It doesn't matter who you buy your perlite from. I prefer coarse perlite, but it is a little bit harder to find than regular perlite. So there's that. But you guys, today I wanted to talk to you about narcissistic gaslighting and gaslighting in general, but this is usually a trait of a narcissist. Other people can gaslight. Just because somebody is gaslighting you doesn't automatically mean they are a narcissist. I think that's really important to note. And I think it's really important for us to define this word and really understand what it means so that we use it properly. We do not want words like this to lose their meaning, and it is already starting to do that because people use it improperly all the time. Like, if somebody is lying to you and manipulating you, like, that sucks, but it is not always necessarily gaslighting, and we are going to get into that. What is and what is not gaslighting, some common phrases, situations I've been in, situations you might find yourself in with a toxic human being who is gaslighting you. So our first episode was on narcissistic love bombing. If you didn't catch that, I will link it for you so you can watch it if you want. But the next logical thing to talk about when it comes to narcissism seemed like gaslighting. And with everything that's been going on, if you guys follow along with my channel and everything that goes on Instagram and everything as well, then you would know I've been having a bit of an issue with a seller by the name of Urban Leaf Shop. And he was definitely, like, the owner of the shop was for sure gaslighting me and other people, and I'm mad that it took me a while to realize it, but that just goes to show you that no matter how educated you are in these things, people can still trick you. So I think it's really, really important for us to be properly equipped, because a lot of people, you guys, the plant community, you are just the sweetest people. You don't want to be a burden. You don't want to bother anybody. But then when somebody does you wrong, you kind of let it happen. And I'm not saying that's everybody, obviously, but I've met a lot of people in the plant community, and overall, like, we are just really kind-hearted, compassionate human beings. A lot of us tend to be introverts. Some of us are really awkward and not always great at communicating. And we might be afraid to speak up when we feel like somebody maybe isn't treating us the way that we feel we should be treated. So the fun part about gaslighting, though, is that if you're not, like, familiar with what it looks like, yeah, it's got some good roots. Not bad. Might be able to put it back in the same container. If you're not equipped to, like, know how to recognize when somebody is gaslighting you, like, it can be really bad, because the definition of gaslighting is when somebody is basically trying to manipulate your perception of something, usually reality. Like, they're questioning your perception and they're making you question your perception. So, for example, if I say to somebody that, like, oh, you said this, this, and that, and they would be like, no, I didn't. Or I didn't say it like that, you heard me wrong. Or they're trying to essentially change what happened. They're trying to change the narrative. They're trying to go back in time and create a new story. They want to rewrite what you experienced, and they want to convince you that that is what happened until you believe it and you start questioning your own reality. Like, that is the definition of gaslighting. And that term comes from an old movie, actually. And the premise of that movie was, I think they were a married couple and they were at home, and that was when they had their lighting in their homes were gas powered. So he was going around and dimming the lights, and when she would say something like, you know, what's going on with the lights in here, he would be like, I don't know what you're talking about. The lights are the same as they were before. And then he would go and turn them slightly down again, and she would repeat this over and over, like, what happened? Like, why did the light? And he'd be like, I don't know what you're talking about. Till he literally drove this woman mad because she thought she was losing her mind, that the lights were going dim. And he was just manipulating her the whole time. So I think that it's really important to note the difference between somebody who's being manipulative and somebody who is gaslighting. So if there isn't that aspect of them trying to alter your perception of something, then it's not technically gaslighting. And this is a really common tactic of a narcissist. Yay! We love talking about narcissism. So in case you didn't know, I have been in relationships, unfortunately, with more than one of these human beings, and you don't think that you would fall for something like that when you think about it from the outside, but when you're in it and somebody is really legitimately, like, continuing to tell you something and you begin to question what they're saying. Like, you begin to question yourself and wonder, like, am I the crazy one? Like, am I the one who's losing it over here? So, recently I had an experience with Urban Leaf Shop. You guys know if you watched those videos where I told him, this is an example of gaslighting, I told him that the plants were looking sad and some of them were dying off, and I couldn't, like, I didn't understand why that was happening, so I was trying to get to the bottom of that. And he basically told me that he didn't agree with that. And I was like, you don't agree with the state of the plant that I have here in my hand? Like, homie was trying to change my perception of reality by telling me in so many words that the plants declining in my care were my fault and that I am a liar for telling him that they looked bad. Like, saying they looked bad was a lie, because they're obviously fine. And I'm like, I'm the one who's looking at it, though. So, like, if somebody's literally trying to change what happened, that is gaslighting, my friend. So, these roots actually, like, look pretty good. They're not terrible. They're not, like, the best roots in the world either. And there's still, like, moss on them from their original propagation, but I think I might switch it to a regular nursery pot. I just really hate these ones with the lip on them because they don't go into another pot very well. Girl, what am I gonna put you in? That one's too big. I'm such an unorganized human being. I just have, like, pots everywhere. They're not in any particular manner, and it's a little bit frustrating. Okay, so I think I'm gonna use one of these for this. Yeah, that should be fine. Yeah, so narcissistic gaslighting, you guys. I hope that made sense. If somebody's just lying to you again and manipulating you, like, that's not gaslighting, not necessarily. It depends on the way that they're saying it. Like, if they are conscious of the fact that they are trying to alter your reality or alter the way that you think of or see something to benefit them, usually, that's gaslighting. If they're just being a jerk, if somebody's just manipulating you, that's crappy. That's terrible behavior, but it's not gaslighting. And we're very quick on the internet to call that gaslighting, and I think we need to be really conscious and really careful of that. And obviously really conscious and really careful when we recognize some of these statements, like, you heard me wrong, or I didn't say that, or that didn't happen, and you're remembering it wrong. That's one of my favorites. Or they really like to, like, deter from you questioning them, because it's usually like you questioning something and them trying to manipulate you into thinking that it's your fault that something is going on and not their fault, if that makes sense. I'm trying to think of, like, a better example from my own crappy relationship with my ex, but I mean, it happened so much to the point where I really genuinely believed that I was the problem in the relationship. Like, I believed that I was the reason why he treated me the way that he treated me, and that if I just acted better, then he would treat me better. Which sounds completely messed up, right? Like, who in their right mind would think that way? But what happens when you're in a relationship with a narcissist is that over time, they continue to devalue you and tear you down to the point where your whole entire like self-worth is dependent on this other person, and they just have immense power over you, and they make you feel like you are so weak and that you need them, and they have to be like, you know, the sane person to make decisions for you and like help you. And it's such a toxic relationship to have, obviously, with somebody. Like, nobody, I don't wish that on anybody, but I really genuinely believed that all of the issues in our relationship were my fault, and that I was the one who was bad at being in a relationship. So much so that when that relationship was starting to go bad, I was on the internet trying to figure out what was wrong with me. What can I do better to be better at relationships? So, like, what had actually happened was we were taking a break. I told him that I needed some time, and that I thought he needed some time to figure out what he actually really wanted, because, like, why are you with me if you're not happy all the time, right? I was starting to get fed up, essentially, with it, and starting to realize my self-worth, whether he liked it or not. So that happened, and then I took to the internet to figure out what was wrong with me and why I couldn't get this relationship to work the way I had wanted it to. And I had recently just found out that I was an INFJ. Like, I had known, but like I'd recently just taken the test and like confirmed that I was an INFJ, which is a personality type. I don't like calling it that because it's really not very indicative of personality, but it's MBTI. If you guys don't know what it is, like, you can ask me, I'll link it for you if you're interested in it. But I had just found that out, so I was looking into like INFJs and relationships and trying to figure out like if this was what, like, is this the thing? Am I bad at it on account of me being an INFJ? And I found out that it wasn't me. There's nothing wrong with me. I mean, I have my issues, obviously, but no one's perfect. But I wasn't the one that was creating problems in that relationship. Like, it was always him. And I mean, I'll never really understand why people are like that, but through looking up INFJ relationship stuff on the internet from that relationship going so badly, I met David. And now, 2 years later, 2.5 years later, about almost 3 years, now I live with him. You guys, like, the universe is kind of crazy, isn't it? Like, things could have gone so much differently if I didn't, like, finally end that relationship. I mean, he was dating somebody else behind my back for, like, a whole entire year anyway. I just didn't know about it. So there is that. But that's not the point of this video. The point of this video is so that you don't end up in situations like that. And it's not just romantic situations where you can be gaslighted. Grammar. But yeah. That's why I gave you the Urban Leaf Shop example, because you can be gaslighted by anybody, not just your romantic partner. It's really, really common in families, like, especially with parents and their children. Like, there's a whole messed up thing that goes on with narcissists and, like, raising more narcissists, and then they just feed off of each other for the rest of their lives, and they just create this, like, family bond of narcissism, and then, like, everybody else around them is just the crazy ones, not them. Does that sound familiar? If any of this sounds familiar to you and you are not educated on these things, I am going to leave resources for you in the comment section and the description box below. Please, please, please go watch Dr. Ramani. She is a genius. I'm going to leave one of her videos that she did recently on this specific topic of gaslighting and how to know what it is and what it isn't and how to protect yourself from it. She literally is a psychologist who works specifically with narcissism and dealing with the trauma that comes with it. And I've learned everything that I know about this topic from watching her videos, and I continue to watch them even though I know most of the information, because it's just good to refresh my memory and remind myself. Every once in a while, I need to remind myself that it wasn't my fault, that I didn't do anything wrong, and that I did not deserve the way that I was treated. And none of you deserve it. Nobody deserves to be gaslighted. And the sirens agree with me, obviously. That's why they're going off. It's the Hoya sirens, because they know I'm repotting Hoya. Here's Larry. He looks good, right? I just gotta find a pot for him. But I'm not mad about it. Hopefully he's gonna be a little bit happier in this chunkier mix. He was in a fine mix before. It just didn't have the orchid bark in it, and I've just been transferring everything to this mix. And that's a fungus gnat. Get out of my face! So yes, if there's anything that you want to add, I am sure that I'm going to be editing this back, listening to myself, being like, I should have said this, I should have said that, because I didn't like write notes or anything. I'm just hanging out with a friend and hoping that I can help protect them from this happening while we repot Hoya. You know, gotta keep it planty related to some degree at least. So thank you for hanging out with me while I repotted my Hoya Larry. Let me know if you have any questions and what topic you want me to cover next. I was thinking, I don't know, we can do the trauma bond, we can do victim blaming, we can do blame shifting. Blame shifting, though, is like really similar to gaslighting, so they usually go hand in hand. Narcissists love to blame shift, and it is exactly what it sounds like. They will shift the blame onto you, and usually one of their mechanisms of action for shifting blame is gaslighting, if that makes sense. So some of the examples that I did give you in this video could also be considered blame shifting. So they kind of go hand in hand, but please, please, please watch the video that I'm going to leave linked for you down below by Dr. Ramani, where she talks about all of these things in a way more intelligent manner than I ever possibly could, because she's a professional and I'm not. But hopefully you learned something today, or at least felt a little bit seen, because you've been through something similar and have felt the way that I felt when I was in that relationship. It's a lot to process when you come out of it. And I mean, I'm here, you guys. I'm here to talk about it. So if there's any other topic you want me to tackle next, leave it in the comment section below, and I will do my best. If I feel like it's something that I can speak on, I will. There are some things I don't feel comfortable speaking on because I don't feel like I have enough information on it. So there's also that. But the trauma bond is like a real thing for me. And that would be a really interesting topic to cover. I don't know if I'll be able to cover it without crying, but you know, it's fine. Everything is fine. I appreciate you, fam, so very much. Leave me some hearts down in the comment section if you watched this whole entire video, because I really, really do appreciate you, and I like to know who sticks around till the end. So if you enjoyed this, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. Also, don't forget to subscribe. I messed up my own outro. That's fine. There's a join button if you want to be part of the official plant fam, get some extra content, some perky perks, and all that good stuff. When I do come out with merch, my members will get a discount on it, so that'll be added to your perks as well. If not, there's a super thanks button. I forgot what I was gonna say. I'm getting a little bit hungry over here. So yeah, you can super thanks me if you want to donate a few dollars to my channel. Just say thank you, and everything helps. I cannot do this without you guys. I really, really, really love you, and I'm not just love bombing you, I swear. So anyway, I'm gonna go. I appreciate you, fam, and I hope I see you in the next one. Bye.